Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I am the CHALL Rovers Till I Die, and welcome to a brand new preview. Now, we are travelling to bottom of the league Colchester United this weekend. So please do like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell to never miss YouTube video. The social media links are at the bottom of your screen and in the description down below as well. So Colchester United, of course, bottom of the Football League, bottom of League 2. They're in a bit of trouble right now, quite a lot of trouble actually. And we've got club history, we've got a bit from a Colchester fan who we're speaking to over the last 24 hours, and also obviously my predicted lineup and scoreline. So let's start with a bit of club history for those of you who don't know much about Colchester United. So the club itself spans the club's roots, forming in 1937 as a professional club alongside amateur counterparts Colchester Town through to present day. Colchester played in the Southern League from 1937 to 1950, when they were elected to the Football League and remained in the lower two divisions of the league between 1950 and 1999, when they were relegated to the Football Conference. They were promoted from the conference in 1992 and have remained a league club since. They've been a league club now for just over 30 years. Just over 30 years as a league club, which is interesting indeed. Now, they've not won in their last 8 matches and sit 2 points adrift of safety at this stage. They have just 2 wins from 18 League 2 games this term, both of which have come at home, which I'll go on to a bit more in a little bit. Now, in terms of their honours, of course, they won the conference in 1991-92. They were runners-up the year before in the 4th division and slash 3rd division, which is level 4 in the English pyramid. They were runners-up in 1961-62, playoff winners in 1997-98 season. They were promoted in the 1965-66 seasons, 1973-74 seasons, 1976-77 season, and they were runners-up in League One back in 2005-2006. Of course, they had that spell, that little spell in the Championship. Now, obviously, in terms of how the way they play, I spoke to a fan called Cy, who's a Colchester fan. He's been, he's talked about Colchester for a while. He's been a fan for ages, and he'd be a great guy to speak to. And I got put in touch by another Colchester fan, so shout out to him as well for putting me in touch with Cy. So according to Cy, this is from Colchester Fan Knowledge, they play a 4-2-3-1. Apparently doesn't work very well with the single striker. It's starting to sound a bit like McSheffrey's Rovers, where we play that 4-2-3-1 with a solo striker kind of thing. Everyone's crying out for 2 up top and would rather a 4-1-3-2, 4-3-3, or even back to basic 4-4-2. Again, sounds a lot like McSheffrey's Rovers. In possession, they tend to rush and look to play long ball football and play the striker in behind. This has limited effect and more often than not will lead us to lose the ball and then be caught in transition. Again, sounds a bit like McSheffrey's Rovers. The rare times we do keep the ball down, we can play football but seem to rush it and not take the chance that it creates. Off the ball, it's a more fluid 4-5-1 with our wide players often caught in 2 minds if to man mark or zonal mark. This causes us no end of issues, forcing everyone out of position and allowing the opposition strikers more room than they should, which sounds good for us, but not so much for the home fans, trust me. Now, the situation of the club, according to Cy, is very toxic at the moment, with a fair amount of the fan base unhappy with our chairman and members of the board that they feel dictate the team selection, style of play and formations played. This leads to the players and manager getting in the neck when things are going badly and they are to face week in, week out. It will only get worse if results keep going like they are and we remain in the relegation zone. All told you, you are playing us at a time that we can't seem to buy a win, and the tensions are growing within the fan base towards the owners and the squad, who should be doing better. The only slight plus is that under Matt Bloomfield they're unbeaten at home, but that's because of more luck than judgment at times. Now, I did ask Cy about, are the fans protesting against the board? Is there fan protests? And there's nothing set in stone, and it looks set to be more of an ad hoc thing with shouts and the odd chants started at different times if things are going badly, but there's nothing pre-planned at this at this time. Now, there is a fan zone outside the East Stand as far as I know. So I will be, if you're a Colchester fan and you're watching this, keep an eye out for me sort of between 1 and 2 o'clock outside that fan zone, because I would like to get some fans' opinions on the Colchester side of things, you know, how the club's running, how the club's being run, what are the opinions of the fans, what needs to happen to the club long term, should the owner go, and all that jazz. So we're speaking all about that with the Colchester fans on the day. But it definitely sounds like it's been an awful season for Colchester. Of course, we knew the start of the season with Wayne Brown in charge. He was sacked. Matt Broomfield's come in, hasn't quite turned them around. In the 1-0 defeat against Crewe Alexandria, it sounds like they made a little more progress, but Crewe maybe snatched a 1-0 win here at time when you look at times in the play. And I got a chance to re-watch the Colchester match, or highlights of it, shall we say? And you know, from the highlights, it did seem like Crewe had a good chance to attack at times. Should it have been more comfortable? Unsure, to be honest. I think Crewe maybe could have. I think Colchester maybe could have got away with that result, but of course it is another 3 points dropped on the road for Colchester. So it's obviously a poor situation. In fact, no, I think they. No, I was going to say I thought they were at home, but no, they think they were away at Crewe Alexandria on that weekend last week. So. Obviously, overall, it doesn't sound like a great situation on and off the pitch. It looks like Colchester could be one of the sides in trouble this season. But look at us, on the other hand, speaking about Rovers after last week. We beat Grimsby 3-1. We played excellent. You know, I think Yorkshire Post mentioned something about going to support other, like, lower league clubs during the World Cup break for the Championship and the Premier League, and it's like, didn't they said some of the lines of, if you're like unhappy or happy or whatever with Spain's technicians and things like that, then you can enjoy watching Doncaster Rovers, or just something on the lines of that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was something on the lines of, if you enjoy watching something to do with Spain, then you might actually love watching Doncaster Rovers because they play good football. So, but no, Schofield's got us playing fantastic football. Luke Molyneux comes out this week and says they're flourishing, the squad's flourishing, they're loving the football they're playing, they love what the head coach has brought to the club, and this is why I stress to the board, please back Danny Schofield, because we've got a genuine chance to bring good football back to this club for the first time in what, 2.5 years, it feels like. It's literally the first opportunity since Darren Moore left to bring somewhat good football back to the club. You know, we're not gonna, we've not had this. I'll argue this right now. Under Darren Moore, it was, the best times we saw under Darren Moore was, getting it on the... And this is what we see at Sheffield Wednesday with Darren Moore now as well. Gets it on the ball, plays good football, but there is no plan B. Grant McCann has that sort of S-housery about him, but plays good football. But the passing triangles that I saw against Grimsby, I've not seen fluent 1-2 passing movements like that since the Sean O'Driscoll days. And that's saying something. Even McCann and Moore, yes, they played good football, if you can phrase good football in a certain way, but they didn't have that Arsenal of the North flourish philosophy like O'Driscoll had back in the day with his golden era squad. The proper Arsenal of the North, the proper 1-2s, the fancy football, the being compared to Barcelona at the time. That is, it's like watching Doncaster at times. It really does, with the passing triangles, the 1-2 movements, the communication, the contact, the attacks, the way we take defenders on, the way we don't, rush into anything, the thing that we stay focused and stay communicated and stay on it and switched on. The fact that the attackers are not afraid to run at the defenders and actually give them a damn game. I've not seen that since the O'Driscoll days. McCann and Moore played good football at times, but it didn't feel like proper O'Driscoll type football like it was back in the day. This is the nearest thing, and Schofield being inspired by O'Driscoll's era has to link towards that. So Schofield, for me, is ticking every single box at the moment. Yes, it's only been 4 games, and yes, we have to stay grounded a bit and say, you know what, it's only been 4 games, let's just see how the rest of the season goes. Back Schofield, back him in the transfer market. He comes out in the press, I think Yorkshire Post put it up as well that he wants some form of attacking option in January, or look for attacking options in January. My guess would be a loanee. I mean, there's plenty of loanees. And he's not talking about, like, specifically strikers, you know, because look at the winger situation. Taylor's just coming back from injury. Barlow's just coming back from injury. Hurst and Molyneux. I mean, Hurst has looked shakier than before in past times this season, but I think he's still good. Molyneux's been a different class on the right-hand side with Carl Noyle since Danny Schofield's been here. So you'd be looking at maybe bringing in a lone winger just to add that depth and add that competition for place. I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here. There's one name that immediately springs to mind from the Premier League clubs, and that is Ollie O'Neill, Irish winger. I think he's got like 7 goals or 7 goals and 6 assists, something like that, in the Premier League 2 division. You know, Fulham are like one of the best sides in the division, I think, right now. And Ollie O'Neill's been a part of that. And I think having someone like him would be a fantastic loan addition to the club. It sounds like he's got a really good eye for assists and goals. Sounds like a pacey winger from what's been said in the reports from the academy matches with Fulham. Someone like that would be a really fantastic signing. I mean, Burnley wants a loan out or look to be potentially loaning out Dara Costello in the window, but I expect him to go to a League One club personally. You know, a couple of Preston players look to be loaned out. Will we look for one of them maybe? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens, but you know, Schofield wants to look at bringing in that attacking option in January potentially. It should be interesting to see if they go for an attacking option in January and what kind of attacking option they're looking for. If Rio's fit, I'll be perfectly honest, I think my opinion on the striker situation is sort of altered a bit because I want to see what Danny Schofield can do with Agard, with Miller, with Rio, with Max Waltman, and just those 4. And if push comes to shove as a last resort, we use the academy and again provide that pathway from the academy into the first team. That would be my sort of aim with that one. So worst case scenario is we don't bring a striker in, and if we get a couple of injuries then we look to the academy for backup. But Agard, Miller, Griffiths and Waltman on loan from Liverpool, I want to see what those 4 can really do with the rest of this season under Danny Schofield. Obviously, Max sounds like he's training well and keep putting in the right atmosphere and attitude. Rio's just coming back or about to come back in the next couple of weeks or so, few weeks. So we'll see what Schofield can utilise with him because he is still like, what, 22, 23, I think, nearly. So Rio's still got a way to go. Miller, 23 as well, already flourishing right now under Danny Schofield. He's 1 goal away from breaking that career best at senior level. Agard's an experienced name. You know, it's going to be really interesting to see how he gets used under Danny Schofield. You know, is he a bench player? Will he be used as a sort of impact sub again in this new formation? Does he work in the new formation? You know, it should be interesting to see. So I don't think striker will be the priority. I think if we're going to go for an attacking option, it'll be a winger, either on loan or maybe we go for a permanent. Who knows? But so Schofield's had another positive week. Training sounds like it's gone really well ahead of this game. You know, the players aren't going to look at it. It sounds like from the press conferences, the players aren't looking at this as a walkover. They're looking at it and saying, well, the bottom of the league, they may go for it. We have to be switched on here. So, sounds all good. They're talking about contract extensions. They'll start sitting down. They said Carl Noyle's one of the players they really want to get discussions with straight away. So, I'm really excited about that. Get Carl Noyle tied down. We do not want him gone for free in the summer, because if we do that, it repeats past mistakes like an old Disney film on those old classic film repeat things, those circular things with a light in the middle. Can't remember what they're called. They're old-fashioned. I can't remember what they're called. Sorry for old-fashioned fans, but I just don't remember the name. But it really feels like that. Get one of those vintage starting players with plenty of attacking ability, and at 26 years old is approaching those prime years. We're getting a player who's out of that development phase and nearly in the prime years, or pretty much in the prime state of his career right now. So Carl Noyle, for me, has to be one we have to tie down. Tom Anderson, for me, with Long at one side and either Oluwu or Williams on the other side, seems to flourish in that back three, with Faulkner competing with him for a long-term place. I think Ty Anderson down to a new contract. If not, Faulkner steps up, gets his big break again, and gets an opportunity to flourish in the system as well. I think Mitchell's another one we need to tie down. Some people may disagree with that, but for me personally, I think Mitchell, for me again, not even entered the prime age for a goalkeeper yet, or nearly on the age of a prime goalkeeper yet, and he's saved us more times than he's put us in danger. Yes, the goal that Grimsby scored was his back pass, but also close miscontrolled it a bit, so it was sort of dual responsibility for me. But he's saved us more times than he's put us in danger, in my personal opinion. Yes, his distribution still needs work. His variety of distribution still needs work. However, he's 27 years old. He's going to provide a more experienced leader for the next goalkeeper coming up. Whether that's Jones, do I think Jones will stay beyond the end of this season? Probably not. But I think we need to be looking at maybe bringing in a lone keeper for the end till the end of the season to compete with Mitchell. I think having that competition for place at the goalkeeper position may push Mitchell to improve areas of his game, such as his variety of distribution, his distribution in general, which did get better at Grimsby, but his variety still needs improvement, apart from that goal, of course. But no, I think maybe a lone keeper for the rest of the season to push him, again, from a Premier League club or a champion or a high-end championship club would be great. I'm sure Burnley's got some great attacking players that we could use, the likes of Arsenal. We've got a good relationship with Manchester United, so that could come into play here. Because there's plenty of options available, and don't forget, at the end of December, the January transfer window recruitment plan video, that like the one I did in the summer, will be coming out at the end of the next month, so please do stay tuned for that. We do have about a month and a half to go, or just under a month and a half to go until that video is released, so stay tuned for that one, along with some other big content as well. So let's get into this one. Let's start off with my predicted lineup, and it goes like this. So this is what I believe will be the lineup that we'll go with. I've gone with the starting lineup from the Grimsby game. So Mitchell in goal, Maxwell and Noel as wing-backs, Long and Williams other side of Anderson. There is sort of questions as to whether Olowu and Rowe will return. However, I do not believe they'll be fit to start. Close and Biggins in the double pivot again, Close as captain again. Hurst and Molyneux either side of Miller. Do I believe that Olowu and Rowe will return to the bench? Potentially. Who do I see them replacing on the bench? You know what? I really don't know. I mean, I'll be honest with you right now. If Olowu or Rowe, or both of them, replace Agard on the bench, I worry for Agard long-term at the club. Because, don't get me wrong, when Agard can come on, when he can, obviously we play terrible football in the start of the season, but Agard could still come on and make that impact and get those, impact goals. I called him Ole Gunnar Agard for a reason. He was an impact sub. Whether Schofield intends to use Agard like that, I do not know, but for me, I think it's going to be interesting to see how a couple of players drop out. Obviously, this is the worst part about management, according to Schofield, having to tell players that you're not starting. It's a horrible job. It's a horrible part of the job, especially when you train so well and you still be on the bench or you're still out the squad. So it's all about competition for places. Speaking of competition for places, Kulea's gone out on loan to Worksop Town until mid-December, so congratulations to him. I've seen a couple of people kick off on social media about that and think, why the hell are we not, giving Kulea a chance? But I tell you what, Matt Walker on Twitter was right, and I agree with him. When you look at Hurst, Molyneux, Taylor and Barlow coming back, he was not going to get any game time. So it was best to just send him out and get some senior football at lower level. It was just the best route for him at this time. Whether he gets a chance in the future is another story. I do believe he will get another chance. I mean, Barlow's sort of that development age still, so's Hurst. Molyneux sort of past that development age a little bit, nearing towards that prime age in a couple of years. Taylor's 30 years old. Taylor's going to have a few seasons at least left in him, but he's sort of at that prime stage now. So Kulea, for me, could be the future of the club at 18/nearly 19 years old. So Kulea could be the future of the club. We just have to bide our time with him. It will take some getting used to. Same with Jack. There's plenty of attacking talent and plenty of talent in general at youth level that's still got a lot of time to go. Ravenell's got a lot of time to go. I think he can grow and grow and grow and compete for a place in the squad. Same with Kulea, same with De Grucci, same with Faulkner, as long as we don't sell him. There's a few players in there around the squad that are of teenage age. or nearly out of teenage age, like that sort of 18 to 20 mark, that will develop, that will be part of the squad long term and could definitely make it. So it's going to be interesting. But in terms of the squad, I think it'll be the same lineup as Grimsby. Like I said, Olwe and Rowe coming back on the bench is questionable, but we'll see if they're fit enough to come back onto the bench. But let's go into predicting the scoreline. Now, I do not want to be or paint Colchester in an embarrassing picture. I really, really don't. Colchester fans have said to me all week, you know, we've given you the 3 points already before a ball's been kicked. Well done, 3 points. We're this, this, and this. It hurts to see fans talk about their own club like that. It does. You know, look at what we felt like in League One last year when we were getting trounced 6-0 by Ipswich, 6-0 in the Cup by Rotherham, and then 5-0 in the league at our own ground. Getting beat 2 3s and 4s, as well as the 5s and 6s. So it was awful. It was really, really awful for us to happen to ourselves. And, you know, there was a lot of toxic atmosphere around that place. And there was a lot of toxic atmosphere. Well, not a lot, but there was less toxic atmosphere at the start of this season. But there was still that air of cautiousness and questionability. And then as the season went on, leading up to that Carlisle game, it just became completely negative. And then since Schofield's come in, it's just been positive again. So we know about toxic atmospheres. But Colchester, I mean, you know, fans talk about our board as much as possible, and I do get their grievances. You know, I'm sitting, I don't care. I'll have splinters on my backside for all I care. I'm sitting on the fence on the board in, board out debate for now, unless I see a drastic change with Schofield now in charge. You know, if they back Schofield to the moon and back and give him exactly what he needs, and we get back into League One and then start competing in League One again over the next few years, then to get into the Championship, then I'll be back. You know, then I'll be less on the fence and more bored in again. You know, I'm allowed to change my opinion if something changes my opinion for me. But when you look at Colchester's situation right now, I shouldn't laugh because it's embarrassing. You know, Colchester were in the Championship like we were. You know, they were primarily a League One club. I think they were relegated to League Two for the first time in like 16 to 18 years, a few years back, or quite a few years back now, around 2016, I think. So, you know, Colchester were primarily a League One club for a long time during that sort of 2010s, and then late 2010s, it folded, and then it's just collapsed since then. Robbie Cowling, I think his name is the main person to blame from the Colchester fans' perspective. You know, and I'm hearing from the fan about them dictating the way they play. Do you see David Blunt doing that? No, we don't. You know, an owner or a group of board of directors dictating the way they set up and the way they play, pretty much doing the work for Matt Bloomfield, it sounds absolutely ridiculous. But I'm sure when I speak to Colchester fans about the kind of stuff they've been going through over the last few years, I'm sure it's not going to be great hearing. So when you take the off-the-pitch stuff into perspective, and to be fair, I've seen the highlights of Colchester on the pitch, I just don't see them turning it around. I really think they're going to be in trouble this year. I think my original prediction for the bottom two was Hartlepool and I can't remember who else I predicted to go down, but Hartlepool was one of them. I still think Hartlepool's one of them. I think Colchester could end up being the other team. I really, really do. I think the relegation picture will be more tighter this year than it was last year, because I think Scunthorpe and Oldham will literally cut adrift from the rest. But I think Colchester and Hartlepool may be the ones to go down this year. I've just got this gut feeling now with the relegations, and I think it's going to be pictured to look like Hartlepool and Colchester going down. So, I mean, I could be wrong. I could be completely, utterly wrong, but we will just have to see. But in terms of score prediction, like I said, I'm not going to embarrass Colchester or anything like that. I'm going to go wholeheartedly. I'm going to go with a 3-0 win. I think we'll keep a clean sheet on this one. You know, like the fan told me, you know, Colchester playing that single striker up front on his own has been so isolated and, you know, just lumping the ball up to him and just, you know. But the main, you know, to give respect to Colchester, and I'm not saying you're going to do this, but this is what could happen. We've got to stay switched on. The reason why I've got to stay switched on is if they counter-attack or rely on a counter-attack to overrun our formation, we've got to be tracked back and switched on. The defenders have got to be switched on. They can't think, oh, it's Colchester, bottom of the league, strikers are useless, we're just going to lounge about all day and do nothing. Defenders are going to be on it physically and mentally, because Colchester could get a goal at any point. Like I said, the 2 wins out of the 18 League 2 matches this season have been at home. They're unbeaten at home. But like I said, it's more down to luck than skill level, according to the Colchester fans. So it's going to be interesting. I know a lot of people say 4-5, 6-0, but trust me, I think it'll be 2 or 3. I'm predicting 3-0, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was only 2. I don't think we've blown anyone away yet. Maybe Colchester ends up being that team that we blow away, but again, I have to be cautious about it. So, thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. Make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, and for now, I am the CHALL Rovers till I die. Ta-ra for now.